Hi everybody, this is Jakub from qoliber again. I have Jisse Reitsma with me in the next episode of extension quality and general improvements in the Magento ecosystem regarding third-party extensions. Today we would like to talk to you about semantic versioning. So Jisse, could you tell us what it is?
Yes, semantic versioning, let's maybe put it in a humble way, is an attempt to try to make sense out of versions. Because if we just name everything with a single version from 1 to 42, it becomes difficult to track basically what kind of changes are locked in what kind of version. So instead, semantic versioning is introducing 3 digits, a major and a minor and a patch. The major actually goes up if there's breaking changes. The minor goes up if there's actually a new feature. And the third one, the patch number, actually goes up for bug fixing. And if you stick to this as an extension developer, then to the very least, you're communicating from your own point of view towards the users. Theoretically, developers that are integrating your module, or third-party extension developers that are reusing your module to implement their own in a certain way. But yeah, it's a means of communication, and of course, there's a lot of caveats and a lot of things to say about that.
Yeah, that's true. We also try to follow the semantic versioning and qoliber extensions, and we believe like this is the best schema to do this. But let's also be honest, this is the recommended way of doing things by Composer creators, which we know Magento is installed by Composer. So I personally don't understand why people don't use this practice, which is recommended by the Composer community. We can use this prefix like RC, which is like a release candidate. We can use a beta version. You can use alpha, or I believe the last one which is available is also like the DAV. So it reflects like the phase of the development regarding certain extensions. And we also sometimes see that some of the extension vendors use the 4-digit, let's say like this 1.0.0.3, and it usually is applied to like a hotfix. So it's not like a minor change, it's not a bug fix, but it's a like security improvement that has to be included in the next version. But keeping these things is not followed within the Magento e-commerce ecosystem. We believe, well, at least I know, that hope for improvements regarding semantic versioning for all the extensions that are there, both open source and both third-party extensions. And I also believe that when you introduce a major change, in my personal opinion, the code can be then backward incompatible. But how would you, Jisse, approach the backward incompatibility with a new version of your own extensions? So how would you do this?
Yeah.
So not bring any confusion to developers that something works, but it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So I think actually, if you focus upon semantic versioning, and you have the incrementing of a feature number and the bug fixing number, I think actually a lot of the people are agreeing that semantic versioning is at least a standard, and that if everyone sticks to that standard, it's okay. But yeah, you already hinted into the direction that some people disagree with semantic versioning, and one of the arguments against it is basically that if the major version increments, and you wrote down, maybe you can write this down in the document as well, you wrote down a caret and then 1.2 or something, then actually, if there's an upgrade towards 1.3.0 or 1.4, then you can still upgrade. But then if the major comes out, you manually need to go into the composer.json file and change that number from 1 to 2. That's simply put a hassle. And that hassle means that, first of all, it's a manual task, but because it's manual, people also tend to forget about it. Well, first of all, I would say the duty of Magento developers maintaining their own composer.json project is to actually watch all of those majors come in. So if you're not watching it, then I'm not sure like what you're doing actually with composer upgrade altogether. It's not just a command. It's basically that you need to review what kind of versions are there. Second, as an extension developer, you could of course introduce your own meta package, so that meta package is basically moving more slowly, maybe never really introducing a breaking change, while the meta package is just installing underneath the real packages, and those real packages could just introduce breaking changes where needed, to basically prevent other modules that depend upon those sub packages from immediately breaking if they do this in the wrong way.
Yeah, that's true. And the meta package can be used for that, but it doesn't exclude the testing procedures with testing the new version of the extension. So, but I think for an extension developer or extension vendor, it is the most critical to have all the information really clear in the release notes and everywhere, so a developer or an agency has a clear way of checking whether there will be backward incompatible changes. But let me ask you this, he said, do you think backward incompatible changes are allowed in third-party extensions or not? Because I believe this is a part of the versioning of the module. So what do you think about that?
So in the Magento community, people started to discuss this after a while and saying that actually breaking changes are bad. And I would basically point to other open source projects like Symfony or like Laravel. And if you're a Magento developer, you're very familiar with those frameworks as well. They do breaking changes all of the time. So they they are the living proof that actually a breaking change is actually something natural to occur. Even better, I think actually that it's sometimes better to let go of legacy on purpose. And of course, if people get annoyed, yeah, that's life. People sometimes get
Let
annoyed
them be
out of
annoyed.
stupid things. Instead, actually, the benefit of breaking changes is that you can also let go of old code. You can also just refactor into things into a higher quality and etc. So I personally truly believe in breaking changes. But let's agree where a lot of naysayers of semantic versioning are also believing in that basically a breaking change that is breaking a shop, that's a bad thing. But that's the whole goal of semantic versioning. That if a lot of different extension vendors are all dealing with semantic versioning in the right way, then such a breaking change is not going to occur just randomly or more in real life. I guess that most of the times that people are frustrated with extensions breaking stuff, that 9 out of 10 times those extensions are actually dealing with a composer.json file with a framework dependency being a wildcard, or not even having dependencies altogether. That's actually where the real breaking stuff comes from, I guess.
Yeah, but we discussed the composer JSON issues, I believe, in our second episode. So fully agree on that. And just to be clear, everybody, we are not encouraging making backward incompatible changes in your modules, but we are saying that sometimes it's better to do this in order to improve the code quality, in order to use modern, much more updated libraries. So backward incompatible changes, introducing them, is not a bad architectural move. And obviously, maybe some architects, maybe from AgeOS, maybe from Adobe, would say that the code has to be backward incompatible, but has to be backward compatible all the time. But let's be honest, it's stopping progress, in my personal opinion. And it can be easily managed through proper communicating what sort of changes are there in the modules, but also, and you can clearly do it with the semantic versioning. So for example, if Adobe had clear version of the modules, and I don't want to attack anybody here, but we know that the semantic version of Magento modules could be improved a little. So there are clear stands out which module, which version, which release is actually in each Magento version. That would help out a lot. Maybe we can improve this in some way in the future. We'll see. But using proper semantic versioning, you can clearly say, hey, the new version will be backward incompatible with the previous code. So maybe you need to write a new test. Maybe you need to introduce new testing to your features. And with the clear release notes that comes with the proper release changes attached to semantic versioning, you can know exactly what sort of code changes you need to introduce within your module, within your team, or within your files.
Yeah, and I personally, I've been reading into why people would disagree with semantic versioning, and I often hear that actually they say that it's overcomplicating things. We just mentioned at the beginning here the difficulty of major changes that you need to manually go in and do stuff there. That maybe you're introducing a change that actually should have been a major a feature bump instead of actually a minor. So mistakes could be in there. But I always try to point out also that, well, imagine actually that we didn't have semantic versioning at all. There's absolutely no other standard in there, and definitely it's also not easy to do semantic versioning. So just realize that without semantic versioning, the mess would just be bigger. As long as there's no a solid alternative to semantic versioning, I'm always on the barricades to advocate semantic versioning nonetheless.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. Is there an alternative to semantic versioning?
Tell me.
Yeah, because I don't know any, so I'm
There
asking
isn't.
you.
No.
Yeah.
No. So I personally.
It's either you use it and make it clear for everybody, or you create a huge basic chaos within your own module without using proper versioning, right?
Exactly,
And we
yeah.
don't force anybody to use this like 1.0.0-RC, which is recommended by Composer, again, by creators of the tools we are using.
Yeah.
But I believe proper semantic versioning solves a lot of issues that not using them actually causes.
Yeah. And I secretly have to admit publicly that I've not been doing well with my low-key checkout in the last couple of months. I've been introducing a lot of breaking changes as actually part of a new feature bump. The stupid thing is only there that the number of customers is still limited enough for me to know what is going on in all of the installations. And that leads me actually into another thing. What about semantic versioning for custom code that you would write for your own custom project? Well, I personally would
I would
throw
personally
out.
keep the same.
Well, it could be the same, but you could also just throw it out. It's just depending upon your own preference. But yeah, I personally think that semantic versioning is not about having personal preferences or whatever. It's basically about having a common protocol from one developer to another to communicate with. And if we all talk Chinese instead of English, then you should learn Chinese. So if we currently agree with the majority that semantic versioning is actually the right way to communicate things, then actually there's no but. There's basically just agreeing upon what basically is best for the majority. Hence, semantic versioning works. But yeah.
So thanks guys, thanks Jisse for explaining.
Thank you for listening, and thank
I'll
you
see
for
you in another
Jakub.
episode. Guys, tell us what
Definitely.
you think about the semantic versioning. Are you following the same practice, which is recommended by Composer, or maybe you are using a different schema, or maybe Jisse doesn't know, I don't know what's like the alternative to semantic versioning.
Tell us.
So if you know a solution, but don't tell us only that use tags, because that's also semantic versioning, to be honest. So if you know any alternative that can be helpful or can be used, or it's even better than semantic versioning, just go ahead in the comments, maybe jump on a video with us. And Jisse, thanks very much for joining, and I'll see you in another one.
Thank you.